What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today another NBS in the house, and it is my dad's. Now, a while back, guys, we started on this thing, and as you know, he had it repainted, or maybe you guys haven't watched that, but you know, he took this thing apart. He had it repainted. He did not use the painter that I use. Came out terrible. The guy just did a terrible job. So my painter decided he would flatten it out for him. So he resprayed a couple areas that were bad. He also was able to fix as far as the imperfections in the paint and whatnot, wet sanded it, got it looking as flat as it possibly can. It looks incredible. Looks so much better. Now, do we know what's gonna happen 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and so on? No, we don't, because honestly, with the job that he got, you just never know. And the areas on the top that were bad, there's not a lot he could do with that as far as like painting over the cracks and stuff like that he did. My painter didn't have time to respray the truck. My dad didn't want to put that kind of money in it, having another person do it the correct way. So luckily he was able to get my painter to flatten it out as far as wet sanding it. He filled some areas that, you know, had kind of craters and whatnot in the clear, and it looks so much better, guys. It's so much better. It is flat. It's got water spots on it now because he brought it over here in the rain. But one of the things you guys did not see is he got rid of those ugly 16-inch Eagle wheels. Oh my gosh, I've been after him for years, guys, trying to get him to that. I've also been trying to get him to lower it. Now, we did put a 2-inch shackle, if you guys remember in the last video on this thing, in the back. I cut about 1/4 to a 1/2 hoop off the front spring. It still hasn't been aligned. We put all new upper and lowers. We put new brakes on it. Everything suspension-wise is relatively new. So he's not gonna lower it anymore, at least unless I keep working on it. Maybe one of these days, guys, I can get him to at least put a 2.4 on it or something. I don't know. But today we're gonna continue the assembly process now that it's all back together. He's got a lot of work to do on the inside, but I've got a majority of the parts over here. So we've got new headlights, new side markers. We've got the new bumper cap. He chose not to go with a painted one just because he drives this truck. And same way with the mirrors, the door handles and stuff like that, guys. You know, there's gonna be bugs on it. And so ultimately that's a good decision, in my opinion, for him to do that. But we're gonna put the wiper cowl back in. He actually painted the wiper cowl and the bottom valance, which we'll look at later, with some trim paint, which actually looks really, really good, guys. So I like that because the valance, he took the old valance off my green truck because I got a different, or no, sorry, the Yukon, because I got a different one. So we're gonna be putting that on, and it will be black, which is cool because it's gonna match the upper piece that we've got. So we're gonna be putting that together. He chose to get well, mine had a fog light, so we're gonna be putting fog lights on it. I don't know that we'll get to wiring them. We've got his bumper in the back there that you could see. We got the grill back there. I've got new steps for him that are new GM steps, new GM panels for up top here. Those just snap into place. We got new tail lights. Of course, we're gonna have to get there's bed only has 2 bolts in it, or 4 bolts in it. We're gonna get the bed bolts in. We have to lift the bed up in order to get the bumper on. That's why it's like that. But it is going to look so much better. So we're gonna get started, guys. I think we're gonna start in the front here. And one of the things I will tell you that he did, which I honestly wish I would have done a while back, is he put some POR 15 on that back side of that bumper where all the water sets and whatnot. That could help down the road as far as keeping this thing from rusting. I think it's a good idea. He actually had this sitting outside and it started to get some surface rust on it just setting. So he just painted some of that on there. I think it will help. I really do. And then I had him paint the grill, the little reinforcement here. Just looks a lot better. I told him, I said, hey, while that's apart, go ahead and paint that so you won't be able to see it behind the grill because it was all shiny like they do. So let's set you guys up. Let's get some parts and let's make this thing look nice. Take a look at that box. Genuine GM. Look, I made him buy a new front bumper. His was bent. And guys, I told him, look, for the price, GM metal just, I don't know, guys, they make it somewhere else or something because it fits so much nicer. Same thing with like this top cap. You know, I get a break from the local General Motors dealer, and I'll list this stuff in the description down below, but it's not a lot more, and you know that it's gonna fit. So this guy here, we're gonna start with it. It's a new, like I said, it's the textured front pad. You know, if this were my truck, you guys know I would have put a paintable one, but he does drive it. Now this guy's literally just snaps in place. So we're gonna kind of set it up here, get it kind of lined up somewhat, and then we'll go around and start snapping it in. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of gotta get rough with it to get this thing in. But all the holes line up because it is GM. So you can see that what I'm talking about, you kind of knock it into place. There's no being easy. I guess a guy could use a rubber mallet if he wanted, but just want to make sure we're getting it where it needs to go. Nice. See that fitment, guys? Perfect. Oh, it looks nice. So we got that on. I'll pop the other side in here in a second. I think we'll get the hood up and go grab the new headlights and side markers. I'm hoping that he got some different bulbs. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's tape on this other side because the headlights that he had before were actually some extras that I had, and he used them, but they were broken and they broke again. The little tabs, they're just cheaply made, you know, and so that's pretty common for him to, the mounting point up here where like the little pin goes through, to snap them off. And I don't know, guys, like I said, I don't know what kind of headlights he has in here. Probably, I don't know. Yeah, these fit terribly. And they've already got water in them, as you can see. We're gonna have to unplug them. And then take the light out separately, I have a feeling. We may not be transferring these lights over depending on what they are. Yeah, they're just cheapies. Okay, he's gonna have to do something better than that. We'll leave them plugged in for now, but we may skip across this. I may have him order some new bulbs. But we're ditching these. You can see the water in them. I mean, they definitely need replaced. And same thing here, guys. These are aftermarket as well, I believe. They got water in them. Oh my gosh, the ambers are all worn out. I may be able to help him out there. I think I've got some new ambers, but he's gonna have to order some daytime running lights. And so yeah, we're gonna have to skip that part. That sucks. I really wanted to start in the front. Okay, we're gonna move on. I guess we'll move on to either the wiper cowl or that bottom valance. I wanted to show you guys this valance he painted with that trim paint, and it looks pretty good, to be honest with you. There's a couple spots that were scraped up that you can't really hide, but it's gonna look, you know, more fitting to me on the front of this than the ugly gray that they come in. You know, you can't get these things in like any other color but gray. And then he used that exact same stuff on this. Guys, this was all faded and looked so bad. Look at it now. I'm interested to see how this holds up, but it looks really, really good. Now to put this lower valance in, guys, there's several methods that people use. Here's what I could tell you. You need to use, I would like to get new plastic clips, which I have here, but this center section, I like to put it in like this and then go ahead and like put it in all the way around. So there's like, I don't know, 10 holes. The other part though is if you bought a new GM bumper, it will come with these already in the bumper, which this has. So you don't have to put these in, but these are the other part of that equation. They go in the bumper and then this snaps them together. You push this down, it locks in. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And it's gonna take me a minute. I'll struggle with this. I won't make you guys watch me do this, but it literally just clips in all the way across. hopefully you guys can see all these loaded in place with the centers still pulled out. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it up in there and see if we can snap them in. This takes some time. And a lot of times you gotta get something like a pry bar to push those in because it's a really tough reach on these center ones. You can see how close they are, but you can get it done. So that's our next step. Like I said, we're gonna put it up in there. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me struggle with this. It'll probably be a little bit of a fight, but I generally like to start in the middle after I get it lined up with like its tow hooks, and we'll worry about the fog lights later on. We don't have to put those in right now. Got that thing snapped on there, and guys, honestly, if you go ahead, my glove ripped, if you push those things together, it does snap up in there. It just seems like every time I've tried that, it didn't work for me, but it's on, and definitely looks way better. Like I said, it matches that. Instead of being gray, I may have to do that to mine, because see, look at mine. I mean, my top piece is painted, so that's better, but see how mine's like that gray color? I always hated that. But I always hated that if you painted it, then it hit a bug and peeled off. So we'll just see how that holds up, and we may do that down the road. But he's got some fog lights I gotta clean up, and we've gotta get some mounting tabs for those. There's little plastic clips or metal clips that come up onto the bumper that we can push in afterwards. I will tell you guys, this is easier to get under since it's not lowered, but let's move on. Now, Dad, if you're watching, which he probably is, I'm gonna give him a hard time because he didn't clean this right here. I just did that. I went over it with the towel, vacuumed out all the leaves. So now we can put that piece on. And I actually think, guys, he did not paint the end caps because a couple of them are broken. And so I think that he's probably gonna wanna do that. I don't know how close they match. I mean, this looks like brand new. I'm really hoping this holds up because this may be a new go-to thing for me, guys. And I feel like I don't know, we'll see. We'll just see how it lasts, but we need to make sure we get this guy plugged in so he has his windshield wiper squirter. At least that's what I call it. Get it plugged in. And try to get this thing maneuvered back to where it goes. You want to make sure that it's setting on your wiper posts, which it should be. There we go. It kind of falls naturally into place. It looks like this, though, is not fitting the way it's supposed to, but I also think somebody took it out of the holder. Oh, they did. That's why. It needs to come down a little and then snap into the side. Now, we can grab, there's really not a lot that holds this on, guys. There's two little things on the side, two little T15s on each corner. They're broken on his. Majority of the time they're broken. I think these things broke when you pulled them out of the dealership. This one on this side's not. But we can at least get the little snaps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 little clips that go here that kind of hold it up against the firewall. And then there is a plastic pin, push-in pin that goes right here in the center. These are the things I'm talking about, these little plastic clips, and then that's the one that goes in the center here. You may have to move it up and down, but that right there is where it goes. There we go. And then these things, guys, sometimes they're a little loose. Oh, his fit nice. Sometimes they bend a little bit, and so you kind of have to bend them back, but his fit good. And then we'll have to shut the hood to get to the 15s, which is fine. And like I said, one of them on one side's broken. Looks nice. Let's shut this and see if we can get those 15s in the corners. What I generally do in the corners is if you can find a washer, I've got one with a piece of rubber on the bottom, that'll help to hold that side over there that's broken because it just cracks and one side breaks out. So we'll go ahead and put these in. You can see what I'm talking about, those little T15s right there in that corner. This is the side that isn't busted. But I think he's, like I said, guys, he's probably gonna wanna paint these caps. I know he was looking for another one because one of them's broken, one of the tabs, but they'll actually hold in place. A lot of times those are broken as well, but you could see the washer that I put on this one to help keep that contained. But now we can pop the wipers on, which I'm gonna go ahead and do off camera and get those snugged down. I don't know if you guys can see the smoke from the wipers. I turned the wipers on just to make sure that they were lined up correctly. There's a line on the glass, but to me, that's a little on the high side. So I generally put the wipers down a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that they weren't interfering with each other. This one, actually, I just moved around a little bit. It looks a little lopsided, but I like to keep them somewhat symmetrical. So they're working. Now, normally, guys, there's a cap that goes on that 13mm that you see here. And he's got one of those, but he's missing one. And I don't remember if one was missing before. He's got everything tagged and bagged, so I doubt it. I'm guessing it was probably missing. We just didn't have it. So I think we're gonna move on to the back because like I said, we're waiting on lights up front. I'm gonna see if he wants to paint those trim pieces. But let's go on to the back and see if we can get some of these side pieces on. You guys can see down here, they're still new in the GM wrapper as far as the steps go and the plastics that go on the side. I'm gonna probably off camera give this a good scrub down too. There's a little bit of compound left right here, and to me, it's a good time to clean that out. As far as the steps go, they're similar to the front bumper and they kind of pinch together. So they're just gonna push in, but there's a left and a right-hand side. So there is an RH, where's it at? Right there, circled. It says RH, right-hand side. And they are shaped a little different. So if you tried to put, I think they would both snap on, but the shape's a little bit different from right to left. This one's got a little more bend to it, but literally, guys, we just have to push this thing in just like that. And if you guys are wondering what I'm using to clean the compound off, I'm starting with some, I'm actually using some Windex, just because it's got ammonia in it, but I'm using alcohol, denatured, or 70% isopropyl alcohol, or whatever they call it. I can never pronounce that correctly, but got that one on. I just want to make sure that it doesn't fly off. Yeah, we're sturdy. So that looks good. Now the other pieces, guys, they've been sitting on the roof of my white truck back there, so I'm gonna let them flatten out overnight. They've got a little bit of a bend to them. Now they snap in as well, but I did go ahead and clean this off. Look, nobody's ever gonna know that it wasn't cleaned, but I'll know. And so I just wanted to get that compound out of these like cracks and stuff, which, you know, he buffed up to this area. Those things kind of have an overhang on them. The next night, I've actually decided I'm gonna go ahead and put the back bumper on before I go ahead and put the things on the side and whatnot. Guys, he did the same thing on the back of this bumper. You can see he painted it with the POR 15. I absolutely think this is a good option because here's what's gonna happen. These bumpers are notorious for rusting on the inside, and then it comes to the outside. So if GM would have put some sort of coating on these, I think those bumpers would have lasted longer. His is in good shape. He's gonna reuse it. The pads have a couple scrapes on them, but he ultimately, the Stepside bumper and the Fleet side are different bumpers. These are a little harder to come by, especially if you're wanting a GM one. So either way, we gotta get the bed up because you cannot get this bumper in here without lifting the bed up. Now, remember I said there's only 4 bed bolts in, 2 on each side, just to get it, you know, around local. But we're going to get the 18mm bed bolts out that are in. I'm going to put a jack back here in the back, and we're gonna lift this thing up, hopefully, and be able to get the bumper in. Now, I wouldn't normally recommend using such a small block, but my other one's under this engine over here. So anyway, you can see we're not touching the cab, but we got it up far enough, guys, to clear this. There's a cutout in here, but we need to get up now or high enough you can see the frame there. See, you can see all the frame. So now I'm gonna grab this thing and just set it into position, and then I'll let the pressure off my jack. Just be careful. So you can see we got that slid in, and not too hard, honestly, guys. It's just, be careful if you're using, you know, a small block. If there's not a spare tire there, you can get a little further up and use a bigger block. That's another thing, but either way, we got it. The only issue, guys, is make sure you're lining this up. So you're, there's a sleeve that goes over to let your spare tire down. Make sure you get that lined up. But now we can go ahead and put the bolts in it. I won't show you guys that. Pretty self-explanatory as far as the bolts go. I don't torque those down really. I just kind of run them down hand tight or pretty snug. Same way with the bed bolts. We're gonna go ahead and get all those back in as well. Now we have the bed all tightened down, all 8 bolts. Got this guy tightened down. 21 millimeter, the big one in the back. Depends on if you have a hitch or not. He does not. 21 millimeter in the back. There's a 15 that goes up in the top of the shackle, like the shackle mount in the back. There's a 15 that goes there. And then there's two 18 millimeter nuts that go on the end of this thing that kind of comes through from the inside. So it's all tightened up. Now we're gonna move on to, I've got this all cleaned off here. We're gonna go ahead and snap this guy in place. Hopefully. Yeah. I'm gonna have to use two hands to do that, but we've got that. And then I'm gonna set you guys up back on the tripod, and we're gonna get these old nasty tail lights out of here. You can see I've got my alcohol. I've been cleaning. I'm gonna clean this probably a couple times, like this area up here. Like I said, guys, there's a little bit of two-sided tape that's involved in that. So I wanna make sure it's nice and clean. We have all the stuff off of it. So I'll probably run over it 2 or 3 times. But before we do that, let's get to these tail lights. So for the tail lights in these trucks, just a Phillips is all that holds them in. There's just 2 of them, I believe. Now, here's what's important, guys. You may take note if your new lights, depending on what you go with, they may not come with the little things that hold, the little clips that hold these Phillips screws, which happens quite often. So don't just toss these and not think about that. Once we get that guy out, such an odd design. I don't know if they were going for that Ford look, but kind of looks like a Lightning to me, in my opinion. So these are the old ones, and they've got some cracks and burn marks. They're no good, guys. So this is what I'm talking about. You see these clips? Chances are your new ones will not come with those. So what we're gonna do is, you guys know how particular I am. I'm gonna clean this pocket out, and once I get it clean, then we'll go grab the new one and see. We're just going with a factory look as far as replacement goes. I ended up using some alcohol on that as well to get all the compound. You know, when people are buffing on these, they throw compound everywhere, but look, it actually does have the clips. Now, like I said, guys, we're replacing it with the factory style taillight. Looks really good, and there's just not a lot of options out there. You know, they're just, you guys seen the ones on my black truck. I'd rather have these, to be real honest with you, but let's see if we can get them plugged back in. If you forget, your green and black wire is your reverse light. They should only want to go in a certain way, but sometimes aftermarket ones don't fit like super great. We'll just have to see here. It looks like, and I'm right, they don't want to go in. We have to fight with them a little bit, I guess. I'll look at these other holes in these and see how they look. See how they line up. Yeah, they line up completely different. Isn't that nice? Well, the reverse light is a completely different shape, the cutout on it. So which means we're gonna have to turn it all the way to the other side to get it in there. Great. Well, sometimes, guys, aftermarket parts do not fit like the factory ones, but as I also said, you're limited on options. So I may have to trim on these a little bit because none of them want to fit. Okay, that one does. Okay, all of them except the reverse light is correct. Wow. We're gonna have to trim on it, I have a feeling. But once we get it in there, it's going to look nice. These kind of hook on the outside, and then you come into the inside and bolt them down. But let me mess with that, see if I can get the reverse light in. After turning for a little bit, I was able to get it going. So that's good. Now the fitment of these seems to be pretty good other than that reverse light deal. You don't want to over tighten them, it is just plastic. But I'll step back, I'm gonna get the other one in, we'll step back and take a look at them. Oh man. It's amazing what just tail, you know, when you update lights, guys, it makes the car look so new. The car can be beat to heck. And putting new headlights, taillights, that's why it's always generally one of the first things I always do. But look good. The fitment seems pretty close, guys. Honestly, I'll list these in the description because I know a lot of people have asked about the ones on the black truck and the old red Stepside that I had. Both those came with the truck. I think I will probably buy a set of these for my black truck. it just looks better. I just don't like that aftermarket Alteza style look. Either way though, we got that on. Now, I also tested them to make sure that they worked because we did not replace the bulbs. All the bulbs looked good. I cleaned them off because they had some dust on them, but aside from the reverse light not wanting to thread in, once I got it in on one side, I was able to spin it all the way around to the lock. I just don't love that. But I think, guys, we're going to attempt to open these guys up down here on the floor and see what's involved in putting those on. I think there's some two-sided tape, and we'll experience this together. I've never put one of these on. I've taken them off. We obviously took them off this truck before we took it to paint, and they're clipped. That's what all those holes are for. But I have seen guys in the past shave these and make the top of this bed smooth, and I tell you guys, kudos to those, because that would be a incredible amount of work. For one, this is metal and this is plastic or fiberglass, and I couldn't even imagine trying to get that not to crack or move around. I don't know, guys. But either way, we're gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna open these up. They're kind of like a vacuum seal, so be real careful if you buy a new set of these from GM. I'll try to list that part number down below too. They may be getting scarce though, but I don't wanna mess it up. So we're gonna cut those open and we'll see what happens. We got them out of the package. They look really good. So you can see, guys, actually there's only two-sided tape on the leading edge. And what does that mean? So, well, honestly, guys, this sets on the outer lip, kind of like right here. So you can see when you put these things, I'm not gonna snap them in, but when you set them down, that two-sided tape is going to come up against this lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over that again with some alcohol, just this ledge right here. And you'll also notice that the ends are pulled loose and there's extra put there. And my my painter one time showed me, I peeled that off to put a tailgate on one time, peeled it all off and then tried to snap it in place. He's like, no, you need to leave a tail on them, get it where you need it, and then pull the tail off and go ahead and cinch it down. So that's why they do that on these. So either way, we're gonna attempt to, I'm gonna clean this off real quick on both sides, and then we're gonna try to snap them down. I'm not really sure why, but it makes me like super nervous to do stuff that's two-sided taped. It's like that big, because it's just, you could screw it up. But either way, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm letting this dry. I may go grab another towel and wipe it down again, and then we'll give it a shot here. I should have done that before I started the camera, but let's go. Let me go grab a towel real quick. We'll wipe it down one more time and then put it in place. Maybe it's because I'm so picky. Here's what we're gonna try to do. We're gonna try to snap it down, and once we get it snapped into place, then we'll pull that tail off. I remember this thing has a bed liner sprayed in it now, so I don't think that's gonna affect anything, but I sure hope not. I think we got it. almost. And I noticed there's a piece, I'll show you guys in a minute, in the tailgate section. But now, what we need to do is pull this tail all the way off down the side and then cinch it down. I guess that keeps this ledge from, you know, pulling up over time. I'm gonna go snap the other one on first though. Got the other side snapped on. Let's see what happens here, guys. So you can see what I'm talking about. We'll pull this tape out all the way. And then we'll try to push it up against it, working our way down. Now, I would love to put some tape on this to maybe make this set up, but I think the fact that we cleaned it several times with alcohol will keep that down. Oh yeah, that's snug. That didn't go anywhere. I'll probably press on it for another 10 minutes just because that's the way I am, and then I'll show you guys that piece on the tailgate. I don't remember. I may have to go look at mine to see what's there. Maybe there's a screw there or something, or a push-in clip. Here's that spot. You see what I'm talking about? I don't know what's supposed to go there. I tried to use one of these like inner fender clips. That one's just not big enough, but I've got some extras here. I think, guys, one of these guys will work and it'll be removable. You know what I mean? So we'll give it a shot. We'll see if we can find one that fits it, but I don't remember what goes there. I think there's a screw in my black truck, if I remember right, because I was looking at it thinking, what in the heck is that? Why is there a screw there? But that could have been somebody's fix a long time ago. But I think one of these, or even like the push-in style, these are extras like out of the inner fenders and whatnot, but I think maybe one of those Christmas tree shaped ones may work. I found one that fit it, both sides. So we are now waiting on him to get me some headlights, but it is looking a lot better, guys. That is for sure. So now we will, should be a day or so, should get the headlights in, and oh crap, he's missing a light on his, I didn't notice that. He's missing one of his covers for his lights back here. I'll have to order some of those too. All right, let's move to the front, and we should have the headlights. Guess what? We've got bulbs, and so project continues. We got new lights, which I'll list all this below as well, guys. I generally like to use this TYC brand. It fits the best, generally lasts the longest. That's what I use on all of my stuff. Unless you have access to get a new one, and then by all means, get a brand new one. But we've got our new side marker. And so what I'm planning on doing here, guys, is I've got all new bulbs. So we've got 194s for the outer. We've got new ambers for the inner. We've got some Zevo LEDs for the daytime running lights. And we've got C-Light, which I like to use. It's kind of a budget LED for the headlights. So we're gonna grab this stuff and get it put in. I'm gonna use some dielectric grease on all of them except the LEDs. And we're gonna give it a shot. So what I'm thinking is because I'm pretty sure the Zevos are directional as far as polarity goes, we're gonna plug that stuff in. We'll get it all plugged in with the new headlights and whatnot. And then we will test it and make sure before we go ahead and put the grill back in. What I did, so I don't have to fight it, is I went ahead and put the bulbs in. So you got your inners, which are your brights, are the 9005, and then your outers are the 9006. So I went ahead and put them in with the housing out because, believe me guys, it's just way easier that way. And then we're gonna take our shipping blocks off, and we'll go ahead and just plug these in and get the headlight in, because we can put the other in without it, or with the headlight in place. We got too much going on here. Let's plug these things in, see if we can snake them down underneath. And we'll probably give the headlights a test first. You need to make sure, guys, they're up and down, so straight up and down. Generally, the bulbs are aligned in such that they'll go in there like that, but this, I don't know. This one's acting awfully weird, like it doesn't want to stay in. Mess with it a little. There we go. So once we get those in there, we'll thread them in. Let's see what we got. Go ahead and do the other side too. Get them back in place and put our little pins in. Of course, they're underneath the light. Sometimes, guys, you do have to adjust these in order to get the pins in. You may have to adjust them out a little to get the pins to set in place like they're supposed to. You don't want to force it or you will break the actual housing, which I have done. That's why I'm saying that. You move them back and forth. And that's another reason sometimes I like to put it in like this without the side marker in, is because you can see down below to get the pin in. I'm struggling to get this pin in, and like I was telling you guys, sometimes you need to adjust these things in order to make that happen. So what I'm going to do, we're going to see if we can get it to move. You know, they adjust these quite a ways to get them in the box, and so sometimes they need to be adjusted just to get them lined up. May have to go even further. And I thought I could see that from right here, but I can't. Just about see it from here. I'm gonna have to pull this other adjustment out. We're gonna make an adjustment here. My dad's has this nice little piece of rubber to cover up the other adjuster. I'm gonna have to get something to pull it out. There we go. Holy cow, it's way down in there. Maybe we can get some adjustment here. Now maybe that pin will go in. We've got it turned down quite a bit. Nope. And I've had this issue before, guys, and like I said, if you get, there we go. If you get real crazy with it, you will snap. I mean, this is just plastic. It's just a plastic housing. We're gonna have to aim these anyway. But I'm gonna leave this on here, but I'm gonna move it out to the ledge so when we get the grill on, we're not trying to tear it off behind. I'm gonna tell you guys, I've always used these TYC bulbs. Never had an issue. I'm not super happy with the way the headlights are fitting. They're not quite as thick as the factory ones as far as the little flange here on the outside. And so I'm having issues with them wanting to seat and stay in place. They're wanting to move around. So I actually put a zip tie on it, but it's not really a headlight thing, the bulb itself. It's more of a housing thing. It's just not as nice as the factory. So if you guys can grab some factory ones, grab them. But these are really kind of your best option for the money, I guess, let's say. So the other thing I did was, to make them fit a little tighter, I took this extra seal here off and doubled up the seals on those lights. I didn't show you guys that, I probably should have, but now let's go ahead and get the rest of these guys lined up and plugged in. Now, if you guys noticed, well, you probably didn't notice because I didn't show you, but check this out. This whole thing just came out. It is completely corroded. I'm hoping our lights even work there, guys. These get so hot. That's another reason why I recommend using like these LEDs in your daytime running lights. These things get ridiculously hot, and a lot of times it melts the housing. So he may end up having, or the socket, he may end up having to get a new socket. We'll just have to see if they work when we get it all together. And I don't generally use dielectric grease on LEDs. We will just try to plug it in and see what happens. You see the plastic fly off that? It's just been so hot in the past that, oh look, it's all coming apart. It's all falling apart here, guys. I don't know if you see that coming out as well. Holy cow, look at that. This is nuts. I've never had this issue. I'm gonna go grab a pair of needle nose and try to plug this guy back in. But I got a pretty good feeling he's gonna have to replace these. Now for these next two, I'm definitely gonna be using a little bit of that grease. And I'm just replacing them with the stock replacement bulb. All the ambers wore off because of the, I'm sure the amount of moisture that was in this thing. Same thing with these out, oh my gosh. They just fall to dust. When they get water on them, guys, it pretty much wrecks them. So if you see water in there, try to get them out unless you're wanting to replace not just the housing, but the sockets as well. So I'm gonna go do the other side. I am gonna, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and put the side marker in because I wanna kind of hold it. That'll stay in there. I want to try to hold it while it's while we're testing it. These fit well. No issues here. Let's see if we can get, I want to say this side goes in first. And then this side snaps in. Ooh, that's a tight fit. Yeah. Hope I have them on the right side. I think that's, maybe I got it on the wrong side. I didn't even check that. Doesn't say right or left. I'm pretty sure they only go in one way. But that doesn't seem right to me. I'm gonna go look at my truck to see what we got. I think that's right. I think we'll start with the headlights, the blinkers, and whatnot. We got headlights, it looks like. Okay, let's check our brights. Got our brights. All right, now let's check our turn signal. That turn signal is working. Both lights work on that side. Now we're gonna have to try to put it in drive and open, and we can make this happen. Sometimes you gotta trick these. I've got my flashlight on the sensor on the dash. Now let's see if we can get the date memory. Sometimes you just gotta trick it. You guys see the light right here I had on there. Anyway, I figured the garage was light enough where it wouldn't pick that up. So everything's working on the front as far as the lights go. So now I'm gonna go grab the grill and we'll see if we can get it in place. There's not much to the grill as far as that goes. Depending on which one you got, some of them just clip in. These have a little screw that turns, that locks them. And then you have a 10mm in the center. But you can see what I'm talking about. This turns and locks and unlocks. Woo, it's looking good, guys. Got the grill in, the 10mm in. Yeah, I mean, what a drastic difference. Of course, you know, headlights make a huge difference as far as the housings, like I said, in the taillights. But my dad just showed up with some more parts. I told him, you know, if we're gonna paint these, and looks like he's missing little rubber pieces. Oh well. We're gonna go ahead and put those on. They just snap in place. And then he also cut his stock antenna down. I think I'm gonna have to pop the hood a little bit to get that down into place. Well, maybe not. There we go. He's gonna have to either find a new piece here, guys, or he's gonna have to get that little, oh, it looks kind of tacky without the rubber piece on it. There's supposed to be a little rubber flap with this guy right here. I wonder if he just forgot to put those on. But anyway, he brought me that for both sides. This one was broken and he glued the tab back on, and hopefully it works. I think it will. Yeah. But like I said, he cut his stock antenna. So you guys can do this. You can take the ball off the end of these. It's a pain. Put a piece of tape on it because it'll shoot across the room. But once you do that, then you can just kind of grind off or cut to the whatever size you want. Now, I, for simplicity reasons, guys, always just buy one. But if you're wanting to do it, you know, for cheap, these are like the ones that I buy are about 15 bucks. But to do it on the cheap costs no money, just a little bit of time. So he took this home and did this at home, and then he resprayed it after he epoxied the ball back on after he cut it to the length he wanted. What the cool thing about this is now I can use that same tool to take this, or put this thing back on that I used to take it off. This thing that I think you guys saw that earlier, but how cool is that? Doesn't take much to tighten these things down, but it's plastic so it doesn't scratch it up. Looks good. I think you did a perfect length, you know? It's not like super short and it's not super tall. All right, moving on. We're gonna go ahead and he cleaned these pieces up too. This is like the surround for the window, guys. So actually these go here on the inside of the door, and then he brought me the felts or the actual rest of this stuff that goes on the inside of the door as well. So we're gonna, I think these are T15s or something like that. We're gonna go ahead and get those in place too. I would say at this point, we are completely wrapped up with the stuff I'm doing. Okay, so he's got a lot of work to do on the inside. Of course, guys, anytime you get something painted, buffed on, there's tons of junk inside. He's still got to put door panels on it. I think he's thinking about changing speakers, or maybe he already did that. Those are aftermarket. But he's got a few pieces he wants to get on the inside. On the outside, though, for the most part, we're finished. He's got the tailgate cap, which we'll put on later, and then he's got a new bezel ordered, so we're gonna put a new bezel on this thing. But ultimately, guys, oh, he also ordered some new lights, license plate lights. But golly, this thing looks so much nicer. You know, it looked nice when it came in, don't get me wrong, but when you put stuff on it, it looks really good. Same thing with the fog lights too. I've got a set of fog lights for him, but I think he's gonna buy a switch and wire them up separately, so we're not just tying them into the lights. But guys, let me know what you think of this thing. I think it has came a long way. Got the double green in here. One of these days, when he decides to sell this truck, guys, it will be mine. That is for sure. But anyway, guys, if you did like this video, if you like all the stuff we put on this, if you think this thing looks better, let me know in the comments, guys. I will probably touch base with you down the road. We'll get all the stuff on it. It still needs to get aligned from the suspension stuff. I think he's got another set of mirrors. But anyway, I'll try to do a checkup video once we get it completely lined out. As far as all the interior parts and whatnot, we'll go over it again. But like I said, guys, I am finished here with my part. So if you did enjoy this video, guys, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. Guys, if you're not subscribed, you got to get subscribed. We got a ton of NBS content going on. More to come, as well as Trans Am, 55, all kinds of stuff. But anyway, go down there, hit that like button, thumbs up, bell icon, all that stuff, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.